between last
Ange
year.
sacked.
I didn't want to tell him, but it was in
Ange
his flow.
sacked.
It was in his flow.
Sorry?
Ange just got sacked.
Who's announced that?
Matt Law.
Well, yes, what we said the other day. Well, we'll fly across to that news because that's obviously going to be massive. We'll go and get that and we'll put that up. But yeah, I mean, is anybody surprised to see Ange sacked? I don't think anybody thought that.
Oh my God, Ben Jacobs just tweeted it too. Breaking: Ange Postecoglou has been sacked by Spurs following a week of deliberation by Daniel Levy. Wow.
Which just goes to show all those Tottenham fans that were crying at me for doing a video. He was gone. And in fact, we did a video on Straight Facts maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And I don't even think they've done that much deliberating. I think it's all just been about let the celebrations for the cup happen, let him have his holiday. I still think they decided to sack him months ago. I don't think they've changed their minds. They might have had a conversation about, do we change our minds again and keep him? But Ange was always going to be sacked. For me, I always felt there was a dot on the cards to happen because the season, a lot of people say, well, your season weren't much better. Well, in fact, ours was worse because we didn't win a trophy. But this man's nearly £500 million £500 million into spending. And they came 17th. There was no way he was going to keep his job. There was no way he's staying. And it is right that he goes, in my opinion. I think they've done the right thing there, Tottenham, by moving him on. I wonder who they're going to get now. I think a lot of the talk is going to be Thomas Frank.
I actually want to see Xavi. I actually want to see Xavi. I want to see Xavi. Because the way certain people talk about him, the way people like Jules talk about him, right? They talk about him as if he's the Messiah. You know what I mean? So I actually want to see him come to the Prem, the real deal, and cook over here. Let's see.
What are we going to learn? Okay, here's the thing. Let's speak about this real quick. I agree with Terry. I think it's going to be Thomas Frank, and I think Thomas Frank is the right decision. Let me tell you why. I spoke to Jacob. You guys know, you know Jacob. You know the Spurs of America. I was talking to him a couple of days ago. By the way, I mean, when he wakes up to this news, God bless this guy because he loves Ange way too much. But I'm over Spurs doing any projects. I don't want to see any project managers go there. I don't want to see a manager go there and they're like, if we give him the right players and we build a team for him, we're gonna be a sustainable team. We're gonna compete for top 4. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Just get that out of your minds. Spurs is a big 6 club because of finances, not because of football. What they deserve. Not all of them, but what the majority of Spurs fans deserve is a manager that comes in and just plays what I like to call inferior football. Inferior football is when you never try to be the better team in the league. All you're going to do is you're going to play a little bit more in transition. You're going to be a very solid defensive team. And if you can hit teams on counter and you can finish somewhere in the top half of the table and pick up a couple trophies in a few years, that should be your objective. Spurs is not a project club. They don't have footballing ambitions. Some fans might say, "Oh, but that's my standard, and I want to be the best club in the country." That has never happened, and it's never going to happen. You will never find your club in a position where you're better than Chelsea, you're better than United, you're better than Arsenal, you're better than Liverpool, and you're better than City. These clubs are much more ambitious when it comes to football than you are. So it's not going to happen. Just get a Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank is not going to play a crazy high line. He's not going to try to do anything that anyone looks at it is like, oh, what is this philosophy? What is this identity? The guy's just going to play basic football that has been proven years and years and years to work in the Premier League, and he's done a great job with Brentford. He's going to come in. He's going to make you very defensively solid. He's going to make your players work hard, and you're going to be a transition team. And you're going to win a lot of games playing that way, and it's fine. You're just never going to – everyone who thinks sacking Ange now is a step in the right direction for them to improve next year in the league and they're going to compete for top 4, top 5 European, it will not happen. Get it out of your heads. It will not happen. I hope this is never talked about on the Terrace again because it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of Terry's hosting time, and it's a waste of the audience's time. We've seen it for years and it doesn't work.
But Spurs have really hurt you, haven't they, Steffi? The vim that you're coming with them right now. Yeah?
You know, I actually liked Ange. I actually said, you know what, don't sack him because he reached an objective, which is winning a trophy. Sack him for his league form if you want, because the league form is diabolical. But for a club like Spurs, how much does winning a trophy kind of erase what you did outside of that? I thought that was big today. I think back in the day, the objective for Spurs is if a manager can get us in top 4 in Champions League, you're a great manager and we're keeping you. He did it, but he did it in a different route. He did it from the Europa League and winning the Europa League. So in my eyes, for a club that I look at as a small club, he massively overachieved when it comes to that. You sack him. We all know they're a first-round exit in the Champions League. And what does that do to your league? Congrats. You're going to go from 17th to finishing around 10th, 9th at best. That's what I look at them right now. And if as I said, if you get Thomas Frank, who I think his best finishing with Brentford was 8th, honestly, with more financial backing that you could get from Spurs, you'll flirt somewhere around a Europa League and a Conference League position every year. But that's about it. I don't want to hear anything higher than that. They're not more ambitious than our clubs. It's simply that.
I think Thomas Frank's the right person for them. I really think he's the right manager for them, because even if they are ambitious, we've seen, I know they don't have a manager at their club right now. However, Angel Gomez has just turned them down for Marseille. No disrespect to Marseille, but I don't think Chelsea. By the way, if we're offering them what Spurs did, a first team berth, if Chelsea, Arsenal, if City or Liverpool or Newcastle, other Champions League teams in England, if Man United with no Champions League offered him a starting position in the 11 in midfield, I don't think he's picking Marseille. That's my personal opinion. Some people may disagree with it. That's a sign of where Tottenham are. Could Tottenham sign Mboma or Cunha without Champions League football? No. I think they are a decade or two, if not more, away from being anywhere near what United's and Chelsea's can do without Champions League football, because it took Chelsea 2 decades to build up what you are. Does that make sense? And Spurs haven't even touched the sides of that. So I think that Thomas Frank is perfect for them. They regularly in my life built good quality squads, not the greatest squads in England, not the best teams in Europe, but very good to very good squads. They need a manager that will look at a team. What Thomas Frank is amazing at, and I know why they want Xavi's, I know why they want Zidane's, I know why they would love, this Klopp's available. I know why they want that, because they see it as when those guys have gone to clubs, they've won Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues and whatever else. But you need someone like a Thomas Frank, because he will only ever, on average, have the 5th, 6th, 7th best squad in the league. But Thomas Frank knows how to manage that. Thomas Frank knows this week we're going out, we're going to attack. This week we're going to be pragmatic. This week you guys are going to be on the bench because I need that speed later in the game and I need that pragmatism now. This week I need all my guns firing from the beginning of the match. He will get it. And that's Ange, by the way. He only did that for Tottenham in the Europa League and they won it. That was the maddest part about him. If he would have been the same manager in the Prem that he was in Europe, they would have finished. I reckon they could have finished inside the top 6 or 7 last season. I think they have.
He done it himself. Like me and Dej,
he did. And they really, really need. They massively need a Thomas Frank. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. A manager like him to get the best out. What is a big team? So I do look at them as a big team and a big club. In comparison, I look at United's and Chelsea's and Liverpool's as like gargantuan, like giants of the game. But they're a big club, Tottenham. But they're never going to be the biggest in England. And they're never going to... You've got to think about what they're competing against. When it comes to getting the best players from other Premier League teams and the best players across Europe, generally speaking, they're competing against... They're not as big as the 5 other members of the top 6. Newcastle have got an argument now to be able to attract more than them. You've then got Paris Saint-Germain, you've got Bayern Munich, you've got Inter Milan. I mean, I know they're looking to buy Rasmus. We'll get onto that later. But you've got, the Milans and the Italian clubs. You've, of course, got Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico are probably seen as more attractive than them, if not guaranteed to be more attractive than them. So when it comes to trying to sign the very best players in the world, you're so far down that list. You need someone, a manager that can handle that situation. Don't go and get your Contes or your Xavis, who I think I need the best. Or they need at least they need some of the best that league can attract. Does that make sense? Because he hasn't got the best in the world at Napoli right now, Conte. But for the league, for the standard of the Italian league, he's got a very good team, if that makes sense. So, yeah, by the way, if Napoli were getting transported into the Premier League next season, he'd be asking for a lot of those players to go and asking for better, 110%. So, yeah, listen, he's gone Big Ange. A lot of people are saying Big Ange sacked. Yeah, we've been talking about it for 10 minutes now. We broke it first here on the Football Terrace by reading Twitter.
You need to get Thomas Frank and get Wissa with them. Honestly, those are going to be the great additions for them. If you get Thomas Frank, you get Wissa with them.
these guys just need to. It's time to humble yourself. You know what I mean? I know Ange was a little bit of a step backwards, like never managed in England before and whatnot. But Thomas Frank, he gives you the best of both worlds, man. He's able to coach in defense. He's able to coach an attack. He will still need the backing, of course. You know what I mean? But he's got something to work with in that team, man. That team should have never finished where they finished. What, 16th? You know what I mean? And he should also 17th. Yeah, it should also help out with their the amount of injuries they pick up, man. Because Ange ball. That football, bruv, you're running about consistently. The fullbacks, when I was at that game and I was at the stadium live, there's literally 2 centre backs to leave at the back. The fullbacks attack with everyone else.
Romero's now gone, by the way, because Romero said if they sack Ange, he's leaving. So that means Romero's gone.
Boy,
so now
that's someone looking at him. That's someone Chelsea should be looking at. I'll be real, man. That's
I agree.
Someone should be looking at. I'll be honest with you. Leadership, you know what I mean? Premier League proven. He's got the age, the experience.
World Cup winner. That's all you needed to say.
Enzo's boy, World Cup winner. Yeah, man. Listen,
I forgot about Enzo.
I'll take him at Chelsea. I can't lie, man. I think
he's a top defender. I think, you know what? I think now you're going to see a lot of players are going to try to leave the Spurs team. I generally do. And it's going to start with him.
What do you think about Ange, though? Do you think he's going to fail upwards now? Or do you think that's the end of it now? Like, this guy's going to be getting them sort of mid-table teams.
I think he can fall upwards if you look at it that way. But it's like, he might do, you know, he could take over if he went and took over a Benfica, he could go there and win league titles. Does that make sense? He'll be in the Champions League as an example. Is he going to go and manage? I mean, which big clubs need a manager? Like AC Milan didn't, the Inter Milan didn't come a knocking, did they? Do you know what I'm saying? They're not going that, you know, Real Madrid weren't saying, hang on, let's hold back on bringing in Alonso because Ange might get sacked. That wasn't happening. But what he may end up getting is a job at one of the biggest clubs, but in a league that is 6th, 7th, 8th in the rankings. Does that make sense? But a team where he can win trophies at. And I think for him, he strikes me as a kind of person. He might go Turkey and get a Galatasaray at some point. Does that make sense? A job like that. But, you know, he strikes me as a kind of person that if he's winning the league with Benfica, Ange will see that as being better than coming third in the Premier League with Spurs, because he'll see it as I'm winning a league title, and that's more important. Where I think the football fans look at it and say it's brilliant, but we all know for a fact that Benfica probably wouldn't finish inside the top 6 or 7 in the Premier League if we're being honest about those things. They're just not at that level. Overall, the physicality is different in those leagues. Technically, very good league, but the physicality is not there. But they've got so much more money than everybody else, barring Porto. He'll do well at a club like that, I think, personally. Season 3 is cancelled. I mean, that comment now is even funnier, isn't it?
What a waste of a statement, man. That could have been a cold quote, man. There goes that quote.
He should have just left it at what he left it at before, bro. It's so cringe. You just finished 16th, 17th. Like, what? You thought your job was safe? You know what I'm saying? That was him. That was him basically trying to. I know what he was trying to do. He said that in public. Yes, because now it's like these lot are going to be forced to keep me because I'm talking about season 3. But they already had other plans, bro. They already had other plans, man.
Does this now change the conversation that who had a more successful season, Spurs and I don't know, Arsenal or whoever? Does that change the conversation? Surely you don't sack your manager after a successful season.
But it was always Arsenal.
Sure. I mean, if that's what you think, I generally mean it. Like, I'm not even trying to catch you guys up.
It was, and look, we put all the banter aside. It was Arsenal, because the one thing Spurs did better than Arsenal was win the Europa League, but Arsenal weren't in it. It's like saying, I don't know, the team that won the FA Vase trophy had a better season than Man United. They didn't. They were competing in an easier league and in a tournament that we weren't in.
Everyone had a better season than us, Terry. Stop it.
These conversations,
United, please.
These conversations have become. It was funny when it was banter, but in reality, when we're having real conversations, you can't be coming 17th and say they've had a better season than the team that came second in the league. I just can't fathom that personally. Yes, they won a trophy, but Arsenal weren't in that tournament, so you can't compare them to Arsenal. Compare them against United, because if we'd have come 5th or maybe 6th, maybe, and didn't win anything, and they won the league, I think it's more of a comparison. But for teams that weren't in it, it's weird, because every Chelsea fan that came on our match reaction when they won the Conference League said the same thing. Glad we completed this. They all said this. You all said this. Glad we won the Conference League, but I never want to be in it again. Which dictates that you'd rather be in the Champions League for 10 years and not win it than ever be in the Conference League and win it.
But the difference is, Terry, we both got top 4. That's the difference with us.
Again, I'm not comparing you to Chelsea. That isn't the conversation, Don. What I'm stating is winning one of those competitions is an achievement when you're in it. But when you see the reaction of fans that won it, they're like, but I never want to be in it again. I want to stay in the Champions League. So therefore, saying you've had a better season than a team that wasn't in that competition that you never want to be in again because you won it, that doesn't make sense when they're in that competition that you always want to remain in. So it literally means what Arsenal were doing last year, what City were doing, what Liverpool were doing. Forget Liverpool because they won the league. Being in the Champions League is what Chelsea fans and Spurs fans and Man United fans want more than being in the Conference League.
I hear what you're saying, but if Spurs finished top 4 and won the Europa League, I think for sure there wouldn't be a debate about who's had the better season because they're still leaving. They're still leaving. Yeah, or even higher. Like they got Europa League again. I think no one would really argue it, but it's the fact that they finished 16th. Like for me personally, we had a better season than them. You know what I mean? Because we both got top 4. They finished 5 points ahead of me, but we left.
And that's fair because you guys came 4th in the league, so I can understand that. But forget where Chelsea finished in the league. The point I'm making isn't about your league position. It's about this idea of when you win a trophy, you've had a better season than people that haven't won a trophy. That as a general statement is incorrect because every Chelsea fan that phoned into our show said, I'm glad we won this trophy, but I never want to be in it again, which means qualifying for the Champions League is more important to those Chelsea fans than winning the Conference League. Otherwise, might as well stay in this. I'd rather be in this every year because then we can win it every year. If all that matters is trophies, we have to, what you want is to be able to be in the biggest trophies with a chance of winning it. And that's an honest conversation. And with Spurs, look, they achieved brilliance and for their club. Really happy they won that trophy. But Spurs are doing the right thing here. Spurs are doing the right thing because your league performance, by the way, Big Ange's league performance is over 18 months. From when Chelsea smashed them up in that crazy 4-1 game, from that moment until now, the win percentage was in the mid-20s. That 18 months cannot be ignored because of a trophy. Trophies are an important part of this game, and you want to be winning them at the pinnacle. But your league form is your bread and butter and should generally speaking be the standard of which you are judged on in English football. I get that PSG, the standard Champions League. Why? Because it's a one-horse race. So you should be winning it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but over in England, definitely your league position needs to be looked at. So Spurs have done the right thing. I'm actually glad to see they didn't act on emotion, lads. If they'd have been emotional and done the whole sort of, you know what, he's won us a trophy, we're going to give him one more chance, they could be throwing next season a Champions League campaign and potentially another 250 million pound in transfer fees down the toilet. They really could waste another year. So you have to say this is an isolated decision by Daniel Levy and co. Very good. Now it's on to who do they replace him with. I think that the replacement element is going to be really, really key now.